Heartwarming twist, single dad's babysitter for his twins revealed as CEO's incredible daughter. Mike always felt like life was a race. With greasy hands and tired eyes, he spent long hours under the hood of a car, trying to make ends meet as a mechanic in suburban Ohio. But when the sun dipped low and he returned home, laughter erupted as soon as his twins, Jake and Lily, spotted him at the door. "Dad! Dad!" they squealed, their high-pitched voices competing with each other. For a moment, nothing else mattered. After a grueling day, he relished the chaos they brought. Whether it was tossing a baseball around in the backyard or diving into a new bedtime story with animated voices, those moments filled his heart, though they ate into his limited time. But lately, worry crept in, heavy like a thundercloud. A call about his dad back in Michigan left Mike feeling helpless, the pressure to juggle everything weighing down on him like an anvil. Then came the emergency. With his dad needing him, Mike scrambled for a solution. Sweat dripped as he opened his phone, scrolling through the local babysitting service. His gaze landed on Emma, a college student with a bright smile that seemed to radiate warmth. It felt like a leap of faith, but he couldn't let Lily and Jake down. He quickly dialed her number, hoping she could fill in, even if just for a few days. From the minute Emma walked in, it was clear she was more than just a babysitter. She swept into their lives like a whirlwind, her laughter dancing through the house. Jake and Lily adored her. They painted rainbows, built cardboard forts in the living room, and even organized treasure hunts in the backyard. Mike's heart filled with gratitude every time he saw them all together, but an uncomfortable knot formed when he thought about how different their lives were. His twins celebrated by a nurturing soul while he wrestled with his circumstances that in school, though, the harsh realities crept in. Lily faced teasing because of her father's job, and it broke Mike's heart. He felt powerless. But as he spotted Emma standing tall, defending Lily without fear, something shifted in him. There was a fierce dedication in Emma's voice as she spoke with the school faculty, advocating for Lily. Mike saw how Emma challenged the very expectations he thought were set in stone. Could they truly bridge the divide between their worlds? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when things seemed to brightening, Mike discovered Emma's true identity at a charity gala, shock washing over him like cold water. The daughter of a CEO. It cast a new light on everything. That divide, which he thought could crumble, grew agonizingly real. Anger surged through him as he confronted her later, words spilling out like pent-up frustration. "Why didn't you tell me?" Emma's expression darkened, and hesitation filled the air between them. "I didn't want to change anything," she replied, her voice wavering. The storm of emotions left Mike questioning everything. How could he trust someone from a world seemingly so distant from his own? The once comforting presence of Emma now felt like a reminder of everything he feared. Yet, amidst the conflict, both started to see the walls around them. Could they find a way to weave their lives together? As hearts pounded and fists clenched, they faced uncertainty but with the possibility of hope flickering like a candle in the dark. What would happen next? Would they embrace differences or drift apart? The answers were just on the horizon. Mike paced back and forth in the kitchen, the familiar creaks of the floorboards echoing his swirling thoughts. The sunlight peeked through the window, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air, but the warmth felt distant. Emma's revelation echoed in his mind, as if a recording was stuck on repeat. The image of her laughing with his children now felt tangled in a web of doubt. Meanwhile, Emma sat on the couch, feeling the weight of the moment press down on her shoulders. She had never intended to hide who she was. The carefree days spent with Jake and Lily had become a refuge from her own responsibilities. Now, Facing Mike's disappointment felt like shattering glass, sharp and painful. "I just wanted to be normal," she finally whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Mike turned to her, the anger bubbling beneath his frustration. "Normal? What does that even mean when you live in two completely different worlds?" He ran a hand through his hair, trying to suppress the swell of anxiety threatening to engulf him. "Your life is all polished glass, and I'm just trying to repair broken pieces." Emma's eyes widened slightly, her heart racing as she dared to meet his gaze. "I love being here," she said, her voice strong now. "With you and the kids. That's real to me. I never wanted to change that." Each word was a plea, a declaration that she too felt the bond they had forged. "That's the thing, Emma." He stepped closer, his frustration a thin veil over a deeper hurt. "You don't understand what it feels like to struggle. To be judged by people for what you do and for how much you make. You don't know how it feels for your kids to lose out just because some idea of who you are doesn't match up with who they are." Silence hung between them, filling the room with tension dense enough to touch. Jake and Lily, oblivious to the storm brewing, burst into the room laughing, each holding a colorful drawing they had made. "Look, Dad! Look, Emma!" Jake shouted, brandishing his crayon masterpiece wildly. Lily rushed beside him, displaying her creation with pride, her big eyes sparkling. For a heartbeat, Mike's heart swelled with love, and the tension melted slightly. But then it rolled back in, as reality set in. Emma knelt down, a genuine smile breaking through her earlier concern as she admired their work. "These are amazing. You both are so talented." She hugged Lily tightly, and a small knot in Mike's chest began to ease seeing that infectious joy. Yet, a thought nagged at him. Would it last? Could he allow Emma into their lives knowing the truth? Feeling helpless, Mike finally spoke softly, "This isn't just about us anymore. They see you as family. But what happens if they find out the truth?" Emma looked up, her eyes earnest. "What truth? That I come from a different background? That I have a father with a fancy title? That I'm still just Emma who loves being here?" "Exactly!" Mike nearly shouted, exasperated. "That's the truth that could hurt them. I can't let that happen." Emma took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "But what if it doesn't? What if we teach them that love is what matters, not money or status? We can show them more than just that divide. We can build from both sides together." As her words sank in, an unexpected flicker of hope sparked within him. Was it possible? Could they redefine their worlds, merging their stories into one? "Maybe," he said slowly, chewing over the thought. Just then, the doorbell rang, jolting them both back into reality. Who could that be? Mike wondered aloud, unease creeping back as he walked toward the door. Emma followed behind, heart racing. As Mike opened it, a figure stood on the doorstep, and that figure could change everything. "Hi, Dad. I'm home early." The voice that rang clear sent chills down both their spines. Would this unexpected visitor tip the balance once more, or provide a lifeline? Mike stood frozen at the door, his mouth slightly agape. There she was, Sarah, his eldest daughter, home from college a week ahead of schedule. She looked different, even more grown up in her stylish jacket, her hair tumbling in effortless waves. He barely noticed the shift in his emotions as surprise transformed into anxiety, a tight knot in his stomach. "Hey, Dad." Sarah beamed. "I couldn't wait to see you and the twins." She seemed blissfully unaware of the tension in the air. Mike's heart warmed at the sight of her but felt himself grow colder, like ice water rushing through his veins. He turned slowly to Emma, searching her face for a reaction. Emma's expression was unreadable, a mix of surprise and fear. The familiar warmth of their connection felt overshadowed by an unspoken reality. "What are you doing home so early, sweetie?" Mike managed to ask, his voice strained as he stepped aside to let her in. "Just wrapped up my finals." You know how stressful that is. Thought I'd surprise you guys, Sarah laughed, her voice light and filled with youthful energy. She rushed past her father and into the living room, flinging her bag onto the couch. Jake and Lily rushed to her, their faces brightening like the sun. Sarah! Look at our drawings! Jake exclaimed, oblivious to the tension hanging in the air. Emma knelt beside the twins, her smile faltering slightly as she took in the scene. All at once, the image of her life together with Mike was stark against the backdrop of his family. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. She longed to belong, yet knew what stood in the way. Mike's gaze held an invisible boundary as he hesitated next to the door, unsure if he should follow Sarah into the chaos of delighted chatter. Wow! These are incredible! Sarah exclaimed, looking down at the scribbled masterpieces. Who drew what? The twins animatedly compared their creations, joy emanating from them like warmth radiating from a fireplace. Look, Sarah, I made a dragon. Lily chirped, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Sarah's laughter filled the room, and Mike felt an ache in his chest. It was so genuine, so full of love. He wanted to feel that warmth too, but as he glanced at Emma, he couldn't shake off the reality at play. As the kids continued showing off their drawings, Mike found himself stepping back into the hallway, away from the happy chaos. He needed to think, to breathe. Was this the moment everything shifted? Sarah didn't know about Emma about the truth that could shatter their temporary peace. He rubbed his forehead, trying to stave off the looming headache. Dad? Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. She approached him, her expression softening. You okay? You look like you've just seen a ghost. Just processing everything, he replied, forcing a smile. It's been a day. You need a break. She frowned thoughtfully. How about I handle the twins for a bit? Just until you feel more yourself. Her offer hung in the air, tender and full of unspoken implications. Mike's mind raced. Would leaving them alone provide the space he needed to navigate the tumultuous waters of their lives? But what if that space opened up a bigger storm? What if Emma couldn't handle this sudden shift? Maybe we should all be together, Mike suggested, a sense of urgency creeping in. Sarah tilted her head. Sure. But what's really going on? You can talk to me, you know that. Just then, Emma stepped into the hallway, catching the end of their exchange. An electric tension crackled between the three of them, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Mike, Emma ventured, her voice trembling slightly. I need to say something. The words hung in the air, heavy with possibility and dread. Mike's heart pounded. Would the truth he'd held back finally spill out now, just as they were attempting to build a fragile bridge? What if I'm not who you think I am? Emma continued, and Mike's stomach lurched. He had a feeling this would change everything. How would Sarah react? Would it drive a wedge between them all? Whatever you're about to say, let us talk about it. Now. Mike took a step closer. His heartbeat echoing in his ears. He wasn't ready for the answer, but deep down, he knew this was where it all began. Emma swallowed hard, her eyes flitting between Mike and Sarah, the weight of her words settling heavily in the room. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. What I mean is there's so much you don't know about me, about my life before this. It's been hard to hide the truth. Hide the truth? Mike frowned, a mixture of confusion and concern crinkling his brow. The twins were laughing in the other room, their laughter a stark contrast to the tension that wrapped around the three of them. Just let me finish. Emma shifted uncomfortably, as if the floor beneath her was shifting as well. I never intended to come into your lives and pretend to be someone I'm not. But now that Sarah is back, things feel different. Mike's heart raced. What are you saying? He asked, his voice strained. Sarah stood slightly behind Mike, her face reflecting a childlike confusion, laced with concern for both her father and Emma. Mom. What's happening? The innocence in her voice cut through the discomfort. Emma looked at Sarah, her heart aching. "I'm so sorry you had to hear this like this, especially today, of all days. It's not that I don't care about you or the kids. I really do." Tears welled in her eyes, glistening like morning dew. "But my past, it's complicated." "Complicated how?" Mike pressed. "I was never meant to stay here," Emma confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I came to this town for a job opportunity. That's how I met you, Mike. The moment I spent with you and the twins changed everything for me. You all became so important, but there's an obligation I can't ignore." "What does that mean?" Mike stepped closer, desperation creeping into his tone. "What obligation?" "I'm supposed to return to New York," she said, her voice cracking. "I have to go back and take over my family's business. It's what my father expects of me." Silence enveloped them. Mike felt the walls of his carefully built life begin to tremble. The twins were still lost in their artwork, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing between the adults. "Are you actually leaving?" he felt himself ask, his voice hoarse. The idea churned in his stomach like a thick fog. "I don't want to," Emma exclaimed, her emotions spilling over. "But I don't know how to do this. I never meant to become part of your family, yet here I am, feeling more at home with you than I ever did back there. But if I stay, what does that mean for all of us?" Mike's heart sank as he realized the truth in her words. The idea of losing her felt like a weight pressing down on his chest. He wanted to reach for her, to hold on, to figure this all out together. But could he risk his children's happiness for something he wasn't sure could last? "Sarah," he turned slightly to face his daughter, who was still standing behind him. "I need you to just give us a moment." As Sarah's face fell and she stepped back, Mike felt a pang of guilt. A moment of truth was unfolding, and yet, here stood his daughter caught in the middle. Would Emma choose the path laid out for her, or would she fight for the love she had found here? "Just give me a chance to explain before you decide anything," Emma pleaded, her voice trembling. "I don't want to lose what we have." Outside, the wind began to whistle through the trees, a foreshadowing of the turmoil within. Mike could feel the tension crackling, wrapping them all in uncertainty and fear. "Will you fight for us, Emma?" he asked, his heart echoing the question he was afraid to consider. "More than anything," she replied softly, "but would that be enough?" And as the impending storm loomed closer, Mike realized he needed to confront not just Emma's truth but also the truth about his own heart. Would he be able to let her in, despite the risk of losing everything? Emma's breath caught in her throat as she faced Mike. His eyes were filled with a storm of emotions: heartache, confusion, and a flicker of hope. She had never meant to place him in this position. Every moment they spent together had chipped away at the barriers she had built, and now the thought of stepping back felt like losing part of herself. "Mike, I don't have the answers," she said, her voice trembling. "But I know that I want to be here. I want to be with you and the kids. I just don't know how to balance it all." Mike ran a hand through his hair, frustration seeping through his pores. "Emma, I need time to process what you're telling me. You say you want to be here, but what does that even mean if you're expected to go back? How do we compete with everything that waits for you there?" At that moment, the twins squealed with laughter, their carefree joy echoing from the other room. Each giggle felt like a sharp pang, pulling Mike between the pure joy of fatherhood and the sinking realization that everything was about to shift. "We can figure this out together," Emma said, an urgent plea in her eyes. "I can negotiate delay my return. I just need to know if you're willing to take a chance on us." "On you," he corrected, his voice strained. "You mean, take a chance that you'll ultimately leave?" "I can't promise the kids won't get hurt, Emma. I can't risk their hearts." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. "I don't want to hurt them either. That's the last thing I want. But if I walk away now, I'll hurt myself in return. It's like I'm stuck in this impossible triangle." Silence enveloped them again, and the laughter from the twins dimmed in the background, as if sensing the gravity of the conversation. Mike's heart raced, the weight of responsibility churning in his gut. "What if I don't want you to delay? What if I want you to stay?" he said, his words tinged with desperation. "What does that mean for us? Could we even build something real?" "Then let's build it," Emma said, her voice infused with newfound determination. "You're right, it's not just my choice. It's about what this would mean for all of us." The storm outside had intensified, the wind whispering warnings through the creaking windows. Emma stepped closer to Mike, her heart pounding with the urgency of their moment. "I don't expect you to know right now what that means, what we'll look like in a year with me juggling family and business. But I promise if you'll let me I will fight for you, for them, for what we have here." Mike felt the pulse of the storm within himself, the tug of fear and desire battling for control. He could see the shadows of doubt flicking across Emma's face, along with a fierce resolve that ignited a spark within him. "Can I ask you something?" he said, voice low. "If you stay and we try to make this work, what does that say about your family back in New York?" "It says I'm choosing my own path," Emma replied, her eyes shining with determination. "I'm choosing happiness, Mike. With you if you'll have me." But even as warmth flooded through Mike's chest, a fresh wave of uncertainty crashed over him. The stakes were higher than either of them cared to admit. Just then, the door creaked open, and the twins emerged from their world of colors and laughter, unaware of the heavy air fraught with decision. They had painted a vibrant canvas, their bright smiles instantly pushing away the tension. "Look, Dad!" one of the twins exclaimed, holding up their artwork. "We made you something." Mike felt a smile tug at his lips, a bittersweet reminder of the innocence he was trying to protect. Could love be enough to bridge the distance between their lives? "Wow, that's amazing," he said, forcing cheer into his voice. He leaned down, feeling the warmth of their arms around him, but still, he glanced back at Emma. In her eyes, he saw the same yearning. The looming question hovered in the air: would they choose to keep fighting for a love that could change everything? As the winds howled outside, each person in the room, Emma, Mike, and the twins, could feel the pull of destiny. Would they find a way to forge a new family despite the weight of the worlds they came from? And just like that, a new chapter in their lives was about to unfold. The chaos from the twins erupted into the living room like a burst of sunshine cutting through the dark clouds. Their faces were painted with streaks of colorful laughter and pure delight, their excitement filling the space with a warmth that seemed to push against the storm rattling outside. "Look, Emma! Look at what we made!" they chorused in gleeful unison, thrusting their creation into the air like trophies. Emma knelt down to inspect the collage of handprints and wild patterns, deep appreciation coursing through her. "This is beautiful. You guys are so talented." Her words had the power to momentarily shift the atmosphere, giving Mike a small sliver of hope. That he smiled, watching the twins as they chattered about the colors they had used and the inspiration behind each stroke. For a moment, it was easy to forget the heaviness of the conversation that had just taken place. But then, the reality loomed again, a shadow creeping back into the bright moment. Mike's gaze flicked to Emma, who met his eyes with an expression that was both earnest and fearful. They were still at a crossroads, and every giggle from the twins served as a reminder of the choices that lay ahead. "Why don't you show Emma your favorite parts?" Mike suggested, his voice steadier than he felt. Trying to redirect the energy into something lighter, he nudged the twins further into conversation. As they eagerly turned back to Emma, Mike sensed the unease returning as he watched her interaction. He could see how naturally she connected with them, slipping into the role of a loving presence as they pulled her into their world of imagination. The storm outside thrashed harder, a fierce wind beating against the house, but in that moment, the cozy room felt alive, a cocoon made of color, laughter, and that undeniable chemistry they all shared. Yet, the ticking clock was relentless on Mike's mind. Each second passing was a reminder of the choices buried beneath layers of love and duty. He finally gathered the courage to say what he'd been thinking. "Emma," her eyes flickered back to him, an unspoken understanding hanging in the air. What happens if you stay? He asked, his tone now softer, more vulnerable. If you really mean what you just said and you choose this our family, what would that look like? Emma paused, the moment stretching as she considered her answer. It means we build something real together, she began, her voice steadying, something that could work despite the obstacles. I can make adjustments to my career, and I want to be part of your lives, fully. Mike swallowed hard. Is it enough? To make those sacrifices and fight for something uncertain? What if I can't give you the life you want? Life is uncertain, Mike. Her gaze was unwavering now, fierce and full of belief. But I've been stuck in a life where I don't feel like myself. Being here has already started to change that. I want to keep pushing through the chaos. He wanted to believe her. The way she looked at the twins, the way laughter poured from their little mouths, it felt right. But fear gripped him tightly. What if this decision shattered their fragile world? Could he even dare to let hope in? As the twins hovered around Emma like blocks of colorful clay, an image of a family began to take shape in Mike's heart. In a way, it feels like you've already chosen, he said quietly. Just seeing you with them, it's like we're already a part of something together. Emma's face softened, and within that moment, something hopeful ignited between them, a flicker that they could build a bridge over the abyss that threatened to pull them apart. But then the storm outside rumbled and shook the windows, a harsh reminder that the path ahead was fraught with challenges. What if they get hurt, Emma? He asked, battling the knot in his stomach. What if you love us then suddenly have to go? I can't let that happen. Taking a deep breath, Emma leaned closer. Whatever happens, we overcome it together. I have faith. Just remember, Mike, love isn't meant to be easy, it's meant to be felt. In that heartbeat of time, they understood that stepping forward would mean embracing the risk of love, and alongside it, the fear of loss. Right at that moment, thunder cracked loudly, casting a shadow over the vibrant colors painted in the room. A dark figure appeared outside the window, just catching the edge of Mike's vision. Who is that? He blinked, a sense of dread rolling through him. The twins jumped, excitement turning to curiosity as they rushed to peer outside. Mike's heart raced, wondering if this new arrival would alter the fragile balance they had just begun to forge. As Emma turned to follow the twins, he felt a jumble of emotions swirling within him. Was this figure poised to challenge everything they had just begun to define? The answers loomed just out of reach as the door swung open, and the dim light crept inside. Another moment that could change everything they both feared and desired. The door creaked open, letting in a gust of chilly wind that sent a shiver through the living room. The twins squealed in surprise, their eyes wide as they turned to the figure silhouetted in the doorway. A moment later, they recognized her. Kate! They shouted, running towards her with arms outstretched. Emma's breath hitched as she took a step back. Mike's heart sank. An unexpected arrival that could unravel everything they had just begun to weave together. Kate entered, shaking off raindrops from her coat as she smiled brightly at the twins, oblivious to the tension in the air. Hey, little explorers! What have you been up to? She exclaimed. Look! The twins chimed, holding up their colorful collage triumphantly. We made this. Kate bent down, her eyes sparkling with genuine delight as she studied their artwork. This is incredible. You both are so artistic. Her genuine praise lit up the room, momentarily drowning out the storm raging outside. Mike stood rooted in place, his mind racing. What was Kate doing here? He felt caught in a web of emotions, most of all anger. The threads connecting him to Emma were delicate, fraying at the edges, and now this? Just when they were making progress. Hey, you're back a little earlier than usual, Mike said, trying to keep his tone light, but the irritation seeped through. Kate straightened, sensing the shift in the room. We finished early at the community center, so I thought I'd come by and see these two. She gestured to the twins, who were still basking in her recognition. Emma turned to Mike, her expression a mix of concern and confusion. Is everything all right? She whispered, her voice barely audible over the rising wind. Mike nodded, though doubt gnawed at him. It's just unexpected, he replied, the weight of his words heavy. Kate approached Emma with a friendly smile, oblivious to the brewing storm of emotions. Hi, you must be Emma. I've heard a lot about you. She said, extending her hand. Emma took it, her smile faltering for just a moment before she regained her composure. Nice to meet you, Kate. I hope I'm not imposing, she replied, trying to deflect any tension lingering in the room. Not at all. Kate beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. I think it's great you're spending time with them. They need a strong woman in their lives. The double meaning struck Mike like a lightning bolt. Yeah, well, I guess we all need someone. He tried to maintain even ground, searching Kate's face for any hint of misunderstanding. Could she sense what was brewing between him and Emma? The twins, clearly thrilled to have their worlds collide, dragged Kate to the drawing table. Show her your favorites, show her. They bounced with glee, and just like that, the joy bubbled back up, blending with the tension that hung in the air like a heavy fog. Emma stepped back slightly, giving the twins space, but Mike could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. She was layered with emotion, caught between the easy camaraderie with the twins and the uncertainty of their relationship. He took a deep breath, struggling to find his footing on this rocky foundation. Kate, can you give us a moment? He asked, his voice firm but gentle. Kate looked slightly surprised but nodded, letting the twins drag her to a different corner of the room, while Mike took a step closer to Emma. We need to talk about this. This whole situation I know, she said softly, her gaze drifting to the twins who were now giggling and recounting tales of their latest adventures. But isn't this what we're fighting for? A family? A community? Kate's already been a big part of their lives. Yeah, but it's complicated. He struggled to find the right words. I can't help but think she might not understand the dynamic we're trying to create here. What if we don't give it a chance? Emma challenged. Her eyes sparkled with determination, and Mike felt the warmth the room had before threatened to flicker out. A rumble of thunder shook the house, and Mike feared it echoed the turmoil in his heart. What happens when someone else gets too close? I can't pretend that it won't just add to the chaos. It doesn't have to be chaos, Emma insisted. But we have to be honest with ourselves and with the twins. Mike swallowed, uncertainty settling hard in his gut. What if this was getting too messy? But then, just as quickly, he thought of the laughter and the color in their lives. Just remember, Emma said, stepping closer to him, her voice taking on an urgent edge. Whatever happens next, we navigate it together. No walls, no secrets. In that moment, it was as if the storm outside quieted slightly. He nodded, letting hope fill the space between their uncertainty, but as they turned back to the twins and Kate, another flash of lightning lit the room. An unexpected feeling surged within Mike, a mixture of love and fear, anticipation and dread, and just like that, the doorbell rang again. Who could that be? He murmured, his pulse quickening as he prepared for yet another twist in their fragile journey. Would it bring clarity or more confusion? The chime of the doorbell echoed through the house, pulling everyone's attention like the thread of a tightly wound puppet. The twins exchanged curious glances, their earlier enthusiasm now momentarily paused. Stay here, Mike instructed, moving towards the front door. He felt a mixture of anticipation and dread hit his stomach like a stone. As he opened the door, his jaw dropped. Standing before him was a young woman, her long hair wet from the rain, framing a face lit up with surprise. Danny? Brooke? Mike's heart raced. He hadn't seen her in years. I wasn't expecting to see you here. Yeah, I was in the neighborhood and well, I figured I'd drop by, Brooke said, her voice friendly yet guarded. Mike stepped aside, allowing her to come in, but the moment his eyes shifted back to the living room, he could see Emma tense, her posture rigid. Kate, still playing art critic with the twins, glanced over, her smile fading slightly as the weight of the new arrival settled around them. Wow, it's really coming down out there, Brooke continued, shaking raindrops from her coat and glancing at the twins. "Who are your little friends?" "They're my twins, Mia and Charlie," Mike said, forcing a smile. "This is Brooke, an old friend." The twins, unfazed by the mounting tension, waved enthusiastically. "Hi!" they squealed in unison. Their innocent excitement cut through the air, a stark contrast to the heavy emotions swirling around them. "Nice to meet you both," Brooke said, dropping onto her knees to be at their level. "What are you working on?" "Art," Mia piped up, holding out the collage with pride. Brooke leaned closer, studying their colorful creation. "This is fantastic. You guys have so much talent." Emma watched, her expression becoming a mix of admiration for the twins and the unshakable feeling that she'd just stepped into a surreal moment. Faces from Mike's past intersected sharply with the dreams she had of their future. "Brooke," Mike said, interrupting, "we were just having a family discussion. So, maybe this isn't the best time." Brooke's eyes darkened slightly, and she straightened herself, suddenly aware of the charged atmosphere. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drop in at a bad moment." "No, it's fine," Emma said quickly, stepping into the fray. "Actually, this is perfect. We could use a bit of fun, right, kids?" She forced a smile, the tension still simmering beneath her words. "Can we show her our other stuff?" Charlie squealed, his energy infectious. Mia nodded vigorously. "Yeah. Come on, Brooke." The twins tugged at Brooke's hands, dragging her towards the art table. Mike glanced at Emma, searching for reassurance in her eyes, but he found only an unsettling mix of emotions. "Do you want to talk?" he asked, keeping his voice low. "Maybe we can figure out things together." Emma's lips quirked in a half-smile, but her eyes betrayed her worry. Mike felt his heartbeat echoing in his ears. What was he supposed to say? Could his past blend with this new possibility? The sound of laughter erupted from the table as Brooke let the twins share their favorite creations. The room echoed with youthful excitement, but Mike felt the weight of choices pressing heavily on his chest. He knew things were rapidly shifting, and with each laugh, every delighted squeal from the twins, he could feel the foundation of their little arrangement getting shakier, but as he looked from his kids to Emma and then to Brooke, the uncertainty began to twist. Could the arrival of an old friend complicate things further? Or could it be the unexpected spark they all needed? Before he could decide, a loud clap of thunder crackled outside, shaking the windows. Mike sighed. No, it couldn't just be that easy. What do you think will happen next? He wondered aloud, half to himself and half to Emma, as he turned, grappling with the storm finally brewing inside him, and in that moment, the doorbell rang again. The doorbell rang again, slicing through the playful sounds of the twins. Mike's skin prickled, the ripple of tension tightened. He exchanged a glance with Emma, who looked as startled as he felt. Another visitor? Brooke asked, turning her head with a curious smile, her earlier guardedness momentarily forgotten. Maybe it's just the rain. Mike started, but his instinct urged him to check who it was. He stepped back toward the door, pulse quickening. What else did the day have in store? As Mike opened the door, another face greeted him. This time, it was a man in a sleek overcoat, a briefcase perched beside him, water drenching his hair. He squinted against the stormy light. Hi, is this the Fitzpatrick residence? I'm looking for Mike. The mention of his name sent a jolt through him. Yeah, that's me, he replied cautiously. Can I help you? Mr. Carter sent me a business associate, the man said, an edge of urgency in his voice. He hoped you'd have a moment to discuss an important matter regarding your recent project. Mike hesitated. He glanced back at the living room, where Emma was watching him intently, the twins now entranced by Brooke's storytelling. Could he really bring work into this chaotic, unexpected moment? Just one moment, Mike said, stepping outside and closing the door slightly. It's a bad time to discuss any business. I understand, but this can't wait. The man's eyes darted toward the door, recognizing that there was more going on than just a family gathering. I assure you, it's crucial. For a split second, Mike considered slamming the door shut. Why now? Why when things were hopping with Brooke, the twins, and Emma? But business had always been his partner in life, one he couldn't ignore. Give me a second, will you? He said, stepping back inside and closing the door behind him. Emma, he called softly. She met his gaze, unwavering yet concerned. Do you have to? She cut in, sensing the weight of his shift. Just for a minute, Mike insisted, his voice steady but lined with conflicted emotions as he looked back at the twins, unaware of the undercurrents swirling around them. Brooke noticed their exchange and straightened up, sensing the palpable tension. Everything okay? She asked, shifting back toward the twins. Just a little work issue. I'll be right back, Mike promised, forcing a smile. Can we keep showing Brooke our stuff? Charlie asked, eyes wide with excitement. Of course. Emma said, pushing through her own discomfort. Let us show her the painting you did, Mia. As Mike opened the door once more, he felt the story of his life unraveling in unexpected ways. The storm outside escalated, blurring the boundary between his past and the reality he was building for his family. Look, I'll take 5 minutes, Mike said to the man as they stepped onto the porch, rain soaking them both. Then I'll get back to my family. Your family, it's quite a scene in there. The man smirked knowingly. You're juggling a lot. Mike held his breath. Right now, they're my priority. The man raised an eyebrow. Speaking of priority, Mr. Carter had specific thoughts on your recent proposal. The wind howled around them, drowned out by the distant peal of thunder. Mike's heart raced. He felt boxed in, work looming like an unwanted shadow. But what choices were left? The door swung closed behind him, muffling the world beyond. In that charged moment, he realized there was more at stake than the project before him. Suddenly, the laughter from the living room felt like a universe away, echoing sweetly yet tainted with anxiety. As he weighed the night's demands against the promise of his family, he couldn't shake the feeling that a deep change was ahead. Could he balance his past with his present? As the rain lashed against the roof, an unsettling question emerged. What if tomorrow's storm turned all his carefully laid plans upside down? He turned back to the man, steeling himself. Just tell me what I need to know. But in the quiet of his home, Mike already felt the winds of fate shifting. Would he face the tempest alone, or would they all weather the storm together? As the night wore on, the winds howled with determination outside, mirroring the swirling uncertainties inside Mike's heart. He stood on the porch, rain drenching him like the weight of the decisions he had to make. The man, his business associate, spoke, voice urgent but full of calculated calm. Yet all Mike could hear was the laughter of his twins, the sparkle of joy and innocence they brought to his life every day. Their little voices echoed in his mind, reminders of everything worth fighting for. Each giggle from inside tugged at his heartstrings, pulling him back into the warmth of family, a warmth that felt more precious than any deal he could ever close. I can't keep juggling both worlds, Mike finally said, frustration bubbling to the surface. I need to protect my children. I won't let business decisions dictate our lives. The man shifted, sensing the undercurrent of resolve in Mike's voice. I understand, but this opportunity is vital for future growth, Mike. It could ensure security for you and your family. And what about emotional security? Mike shot back, heart racing. It's about more than that. It's about what my children see, who they grow up to be. Do you understand? The man paused, taken aback, and Mike noticed the moment of hesitation. He turned back toward his house, longing to feel the laughter of his kids wrap around him again, cut through the tension of adulthood. As he stepped inside, he saw Emma carefully orchestrating a fun storytelling moment for the twins and Brooke, their faces lit with excitement, the art project strewn out before them. And the dragon soared above the castle. Emma exclaimed, her voice animated, captivating the children. Mike felt a rush of warmth fill him. In that moment it was clear what mattered most: connection, love, and a family. "Sorry, just had to settle a bit of a work thing," he said, stepping closer, catching Emma's gaze. "We need to talk." Emma nodded, inviting him to speak without interrupting the joyful chaos. "Kids," Mike interjected gently, "how about we take a little break? I want to have a family huddle." The twins paused, their heads tilting in unison, curious and eager. "You too, Brooke." They gathered, and as they all settled, Mike's heart raced. "I want to talk about something important. About what it means to be a family." The twins exchanged glances, and Mike took a deep breath, willing himself to be vulnerable. He could feel Emma's unyielding support beside him, the warmth radiating from her that mixed with pure determination. "I've been thinking," he began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Life can be really complicated, and sometimes it feels like I'm always trying to chase everything just to keep us safe." His eyes locked onto the twins, and he saw clarity in their innocent expressions. He continued, "But I realized something tonight: what truly matters is not about having the best of everything. It's about having each other." Emma's hand found his, squeezing lightly, a grounding force amidst the unfolding storm. "Love can span all distances. It's what I want to fight for us," he said, turning his gaze to Emma. "Especially now that we're at such a crossroads. I can't promise everything will be perfect, but I can promise to be here, to love you." When he looked at Emma, he could see the flicker of hope reflected in her eyes. She said softly, "And I'm willing to fight for this, for you and the kids, for our joy and our chaos. Together." In that moment, the storm united them, wrapping around their insecurities and turning the uncertainties of their lives into something hopeful. The twins lit up with childish cheer. "We like this, Daddy." Brooke leaned in, excitement and curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "And you guys will all be a team? Like superheroes?" A ripple of laughter broke through the tension, and for the first time that night, a sense of unity blossomed. "Yes, exactly," Mike exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. The warmth of laughter resonated with clarity, a sense of purpose rising from the dawning realization that they could shape their journey together. No matter how treacherous. Slowly, as there was laughter, Mike's heart felt lighter. Each face around him, Emma's tender gaze, the twins' joy, even Brooke's awe, reminded him that love was stronger than status, that family could overcome every obstacle. As the winds outside finally began to calm, the darkness that had loomed over Mike lifted, allowing the dreams of a shared future to light the way. He knew the path wouldn't always be easy, but standing together, they had the power to navigate any storm. "Are you guys ready to take on whatever comes next?" He grinned. The twins cheered, Emma squeezed his hand tighter, and warmth filled the room with newfound possibility. Together, they'd brave every wave that life threw their way, and amidst the laughter, Mike realized, this was where his heart belonged. Now, don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support us. We want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring transformation. Only true fans understand how important it is to back the channel with these actions.